Good morning, everyone. Imagine you could go back in time 3,300 years ago and talk to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, Ramses II. What would you say to him? Well, what I would say to him is, Pharaoh, I have good news and bad news. The good news is one of these two civilizations, the Egyptians or the Hebrews, will be around in 33 centuries from now. The bad news is that it won't be the Egyptians. What is the secret to the immortality of the Jewish people? How is it that the most powerful nation on earth, Egypt, with all its might, strength, and power, did not survive, but the tiny little Hebrew nation who was slaves in Egypt are still here today to tell the story? Well, today at 1 o'clock we're going to have a great privilege. We're going to have a live Zoom from Israel, from the famous refusnik, Natan Sharansky. Everyone knows Natan Sharansky's story. He was a refusnik. He demanded the right as a Jew to immigrate to Israel. He was imprisoned in Russia, sat in the gulags for 9 years, and ultimately was freed, and in 1986 fulfilled his life dream to go to Israel and be reunited with his wife. And Natan Sharansky will speak to us right before Passover on a Zoom, and I invite everyone to join at 1 o'clock, about how he maintained his freedom even being in prison. And Natan was born in Ukraine, sat in a Russian prison, and today we're going through the same story that he went through, which is the evil of the Soviet regime and their persecution and oppression of innocent people. And Natan Sharansky in his memoir describes how he always maintained his inner freedom. He never allowed them to imprison his spirit. Yes, they can control his body, but not his soul and his spirit. And when you maintain your inner freedom, then you outlive all your tormentors and oppressors. And indeed, on the very day that he was freed, he was told by the Russians to cross the Galinkaya Bridge to freedom, to Germany. And they told him, walk straight over the bridge. And that passage was going from enslavement, from imprisonment to freedom. But when the Russians told him, walk straight over the bridge, he defiantly crossed the bridge in a zigzag form, demonstrating to them that you never controlled me internally. And that is the message of Passover. Passover is not about only going out of physical bondage, but it's about making sure that there's nothing that dominates and controls our inner spirit, that we are truly free to choose for ourselves and not controlled by anything that is a master over us. Your master could be power, your master could be money, your master could be drugs or addictions, cigarettes. It could be a million different things that controls you. As long as you maintain your inner spirit, you are a free person. And that's the story of the Jewish people and why we are here 3,300 years later to tell the story. You know, there was a beautiful couple that got married in Israel last week. Moshe and Hadash Shabbat. How did they meet? During COVID, all the synagogues were closed, so there was outdoor minyans, outdoor services. People would congregate in public spaces to pray. And in Tel Aviv, in Dizengoff Square, there was a Shabbat weekly minyan. And this couple, Moshe and Hadash Shabbat, met at this public minyan because the whole community came to the Dizengoff Square to pray. And they met, they started dating, and sure enough, they got married last week in Israel. Well, on Thursday night, in the Hadass family, there was Shever Brachot, a dinner party for the couple. And Thursday night, the newlywed couple was sitting there celebrating with their family and friends, when all of a sudden gunshots rang out. And they started to hear sirens and chaos and mayhem. And they looked out the window of their apartment, which overlooked the bar in Dizengoff Square, and they saw everyone fleeing and the police running and telling everyone to evacuate as they searched for the gunman on the loose. And immediately the entire party of this newlywed couple turned into sadness and ash as everyone started to check their phones, and the police said everyone should stay in their apartments till they find the gunman. At that point, the father of the bride rose and said, you know, we're in the middle of celebrating love, the love of a new couple. What just happened outside in the street is hatred and evil. What we're celebrating is love and goodness. If we break up this celebration of the bride and the groom, then we've given the terrorists yet another victory, because that's exactly what they want. They want to destroy our joy. They want to destroy our way of life. They want to destroy our civilization and our peoplehood and our celebrations and our traditions. And therefore, the best thing we can do right now is sit back down at the table, put away our phones, and continue to celebrate this newlywed couple of Moshe and Hadassah's marriage. And that will be the greatest strength and the merit for the security forces to find the terrorist and apprehend them. And everyone said, you're right. They put away their phones, they sat down, and as right outside their window, there was yelling and screaming and cries and sirens and ambulances and police forces within this apartment overlooking the bar in Dizenkow Square. They started to sing and dance and play music and celebrate. Our response to evil has always been goodness. Our response to hate has always been love. Our response to imprisonment and oppression has always been inner freedom. And that's why we could tell Pharaoh 3,300 years ago, one civilization will be here in 2022, but it won't be you. Have a wonderful day.